Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So today's a new segment called Toys I Remember But Don't Have Anymore. And I thought of this because on my Facebook group that I have, Retro Gaming and Retro Toys, one of my longtime watchers of my show, Green Lantern HG, posted something about Centurions, which was a toy line that I really loved to play with when I was a kid. I mean, I had a bunch of them. It was something that I kind of wish I still had today. And another person, Willie from Arcade USA, made a comment saying, oh, I should do a video on them. And I thought, well, I totally would, but I don't have the toys anymore. I mean, I kind of do a toy segment called Favorite Toys, and it's ones that I actually still have. But since I don't have them, I thought, well, how am I going to show them off? But I thought, let's do something that's actually like a trip in the past, because most of us played with toys when we were kids, and we probably don't have them anymore. Either you got rid of them, they were broken, stolen, your parents got rid of them, you moved, lost a box, whatever. Gave them to your own kids. I don't know. Could be a million reasons why you don't have those toys anymore. So I thought, why not make a segment out of it? And so fittingly, I thought, let's do Centurions for my first episode. Because I don't have a single toy from that entire toy line, nor do I even have the cartoon, which I used to watch as well. And I don't even know how old I was when I watched these. I remember them. I don't remember any of the cartoons in depth, but I do remember watching. It was one of the cartoons out of like G.I. Joe and Transformers and a lot of the other popular shows of the 80s. This was one of them that I watched. I watched Cops. I watched a bunch of, and this one, I mean, this kind of concept is very similar to, the G.I. Joe line, the Cops line, where you got these heroes. So if you're not familiar with what Centurions is, I'll just give you a little bit of thing that I found on the web. It's like a descriptor. I think it was used in the toy lineup or on the cartoon. And that is, the Centurions are a group of special operatives who are assigned to stop the evil Dr. Terror, not Dr. Evil, Dr. Terror, and his army of robot drones. Now, there's a lot more to it, but, I mean, that's the gist of what the show is about. And what really captivated me was that these guys were able to actually, almost like Transformers, but not quite, they were able to beam down different suit parts to their body and kind of transform them into this sort of, you'd have three different characters, and each one had like a different kind of theme to them of what they could turn into different things. Essentially, it's like having all these equipment that you don't have to carry around with you. They actually beam it down from a satellite, and it just appears on top of you. I didn't think too much of it when I was a kid, obviously. You don't want to think too much of it. It's kind of, far-fetched, but that was what was fun about it. It's your imagination. It's all about just enjoying the show and not thinking too literal on it, or how could that possibly be, which is what you would probably do nowadays when you're, my age. But anyways, yeah, I really enjoyed the show, and they really did a great job actually sculpting out the three characters. And so they had their kind of their air person, the person who controlled the air. His name was Ace McCloud. Sounds like a pilot. And he was blue. Obviously, his costume was blue. He had a helmet. Each one of them kind of looked the same. They had these suits on, and they had little, I don't know, kind of like holes in the suits where the equipment would attach to. And it actually translated into the toys. And that was what was great about this show and the toy line, was the toy line actually looked like the show, which was kind of odd, back then, because a lot of the toy lines did not match the show. Either the toy line came before the show or after the show or something, and they didn't match it up. They didn't spend a lot of time making sure that they looked the same. Transformers was one of them. A lot of the Transformers do not look like the show. So these figures actually did look like the show, but they were big figures. I mean, compared to, say, G.I. Joe, which were little figures, and Transformers, which were all various sizes of shapes and everything, the Centurions were like they were like Barbie doll size figures. And they had the holes in the body, so you can actually attach all the little parts. And as they sold them, so Ace McCloud, the one I was just talking about, he came with his backpack, which was like literally like a glider, He had, a few things that went on his arms, like, wings and stuff. And, of course, they came with their signature helmet, which pretty much looked the same. They almost look like scuba divers in a way. And so each of them would actually have their little pack that they were sold with. And then you could buy add-on packs, which would be much better, which they call the assault weapons. And so for Ace, his assault weapon was, I actually wrote it down, the Orbital Interceptor. And I believe I had that one. Ace was probably my favorite character of the show. And so I know I had Ace as a kid. The second one was Jake Rockwell, which is the yellow guy. I also had him as a kid as well. He was probably my second favorite. And he was the land operative guy. He was the guy that controlled the heavy equipment. He had the, his thing was all about, dealing on land only. He also had one which was called an assault weapon called the Hornet, which was kind of weird because it turned him into a helicopter, which is kind of odd, being that he's a land person. And the third guy is Max Ray, which was the underwater guy. They made him green, so they kind of had the three color schemes going on there. He was the same idea. His thing was all about scuba wear almost. Essentially, you can go into the water. And he also had one, the assault one, which would actually turn him into like a full-on submarine. Now, these things were pretty big when you got them. I mean, the toys were huge. If you got all the attachment parts, if you got the assault weapon parts, which were sold separately, it was like turning the guy into a vehicle. Now, I remember in the show, oftentimes they just went with the basic outfit that they had in the toy line with their original, the thing that they're actually sold with. So they didn't often go into too much of the assault line. But it was still cool. I mean, you saw them kind of like stand up and then things would just get beamed into them. And they would just, I don't know. It was just, to me, that was just awesome. When I was a kid, that just was awesome. And I think that's what we all liked in those days. We liked when things could change. That's why we liked the Transformers so much. And, GoBots was even a thing. G.I. Joe, in a sense, was similar, right? Each G.I. Joe had their own little thing about them that was different. So the enemies in this, kind of original, actually, they were kind of weird, too. They were both, there's two guys. There was Dr. Terror, which was the main guy. He was red, I remember that, and he had half a human body and half a robot body. Kind of think of like Two-Face in Batman, where he's got like one half that looks different than the other half. And so you'd have this half body which was, connected. And in the toy it was the same idea. You could actually pull them apart. And it would just be like, you'd have this half body. And I think he had accessories and stuff you could actually click into them. And you wouldn't necessarily do that all the time. The other guy that he actually came with, or his sidekick, I guess they called him, was Hacker. And he was blue. He's kind of like this goofier looking version of the other guy. Bald and all that, kind of looked weird. He was like kind of the opposite side. So he had the robot part on the other side, I believe. It was really weird. I remember having the toys for a while and trying to connect the two robot parts together, see if we can create a person and stuff like that. It was kind of weird. It was very interesting bosses. And like I said, I don't remember the show too well. I would love to actually get that one day. If they've ever put it on DVD, I haven't actually looked for it, or Blu-ray or whatever, or had it available, or there might even be on YouTube. Maybe somebody have uploaded the shows. But anyways, yeah, it's just a toy line that I just totally remember. And I kind of wish I still had some of them kicking around because, I don't know what happened. I think when I moved several times in my life, the first time I moved out, I was only able to take so many things with me. And so probably a lot of it just ended up getting tossed or sold in a garage sale or something. I don't know. It's just a part of my life that's kind of fuzzy, and I don't remember a lot of it. I probably only grabbed the stuff that I was playing with at the time. Unfortunately, a lot of that stuff was the stuff that it's not really a big deal anyway. Like things like the Ninja Turtles, like you can get those easily. Things like that. So a lot of those older toys that are really scarce nowadays, I kind of lost track of them. It's kind of, sad, but whatever. That's just the way it is, and I'm sure most people have been in that situation. Anyways, yeah, that's what I just wanted to do this first episode on, because it was just, a little flashback of toys that I remember. I got a whole bunch that I actually remember that I wrote down, so we'll see how this video does, and maybe I'll continue this series on, and we can do a whole bunch of other videos. And I'd love to hear what you remember of maybe the Centurions, or what other toys that you used to have when you were a kid that you wish you had today. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you subscribe to my channel. Talk to you later.